Tonight we're talking about one of the biggest subjects to ever happen in Oregon's history. If not called a conspiracy, what do we call it? Oregon's had its share of big events like this. We've had missing people. What about Brooke Wilberger, Ashley Pond, Miranda Gaddis? We all know what happened to that. That was headlines for a long time. That's all you saw in the news. But this is all dried up and gone away. It's come to a conclusion. We've moved past it. But Kyron Horman, guys, Kyron Horman. What do we know about Kyron Horman? Well, we know that he somehow became missing on June 4th, 2010. Now, folks, I remember this like it was yesterday. I was in high school in 2010. Didn't have a career. Went home, watched the news just like every night, watched the weather. This was all that was on the news during that June, July, August, the rest of the summer. That's all that was on TV was Kyron Horman. What I can't figure out is why it grabbed so much attention back then. You have to remember, Facebook was relatively new. Instagram, yada, 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 Snapchat, all the other platforms didn't exist. So why this kid surpassed everything else and took off for space on top of everything that's happened in this state back then is beyond me. And it's been like this for years. I can't believe somebody didn't beat me to it and make a video about this. There are so many people, when that comes on television and they say the search for Kyron Horman, they go, oh Jesus, here we go again. You know, what's new? Did they find him? Did Terry, did she confess to it? I mean, what's going on now? Oh, the same thing? Flip another channel, the same thing. So we're almost into June in 2025, and this will be the 15-year mark, guys, of his disappearance from 2010. And I know for a fact, I absolutely guarantee you, here in a few days, we'll have a big story on the news. If not every news channel in the state of Oregon will cover it, maybe even Washington too, but it will be on there. Folks, when September 11th comes along, a day before and a day after, you know what you're going to see on TV. It was a sad day, we all know. But when it comes to September 11th, you know that you're going to see the planes. You know that you're going to see the Pentagon, the towers collapsing, everybody covered in ash. It's a given. June 4th here in Oregon, folks, we know what we're going to see on TV. Just like clockwork, it's always on. The reason I felt the need to make this is because why? Why is this kid so interesting to the public? How has this become a household name to everybody that's of age? Any guesses? Think about the millions of dollars that has been spent looking for this kid, turning over every rock in the counties up north, interviewing, running news stories, GoFundMes, so on and so forth. I mean, I cannot imagine the manpower that has went into that first and last name. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, you guys. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, if that was your son, wouldn't you want that? Yes, I would. For a couple, 3 years, we would be on the hunt. We didn't have any suspects. We have no idea where or how or who took him or if he walked off. Maybe he wasn't even kidnapped. But what I wouldn't want is for my son to turn into the biggest Oregon conspiracy of all time. I wouldn't let it happen. Not for a minute. We're not doing this for 15 or 20 years. I want to live my life and be normal with my wife or whoever I'm with and just go about life. Not drag this on and keep dragging it and dragging it and dragging it in front of the media, having it advertised year after year like clockwork. I wouldn't let that happen, not for one bit. Folks, it is time to let go. We all know. Of course, nobody's going to come out and say it, hence the reason for the video. What happened to him? We may never know. We may never find him. Do you think he's on a drift out in the ocean, just in a life raft waiting to be picked up? Or he went camping, just walking around out in the forest aimlessly? No, come on. Seriously? Let's get into some facts here. So, Terry Horman was a suspect almost immediately after his disappearance, within the week, maybe a couple of weeks. They never found anything. She acted suspicious, but she was never indicted on charges. Nothing ever became of it. She lived for another few years here in Oregon. I believe she filed for a divorce in 2013, 3 years after the disappearance. I also believe that she went down to California in about 2015 and filled out an application to change her name. And her new applicated name was Claire Stella Sullivan. Apparently she still resides in California. Now, if I had to guess, guys, maybe she is innocent, but I can absolutely guarantee you she does know more than she's letting on. If I had to put my finger on it, and she was the one that wanted him gone, I think she had help. Maybe a lot of it. Something else that's interesting. Kyron Horman's dad, Kyron Horman, he's a nice guy. I met him several times. Matter of fact, the first time I met him was February of 2011, up at the Sportsman's Show at the Expo Center in Portland, Oregon. I could see him coming from a mile away. White t-shirt, had Kyron Horman's face right here missing, so on and so forth, the details. And he had a whole bunch of people with him, and they were all wearing the same shirt. I talked to him for a few minutes. He's a very intelligent guy. Matter of fact, he actually worked for Intel at the time. He was one of their architects or into design or whatever it was. The guy's bright. The next coming years, you would see Kane just about at every major public event in Portland, Oregon. Matter of fact, I actually saw him in 2011, 12, and 13, all at the same, up at the Portland Expo. Same shirt, same story. The guy never gave up. And you know what? I appreciate his enthusiasm, but sometimes you just gotta know when enough is enough. It's a hard thing to fathom, guys, but you know, I don't have to say anything. But you know, we know what happened. It's time to move on. We had a good run. A lot of agencies, municipalities joined in on the search. But until you have the subject, don't bother coming up with conspiracies. Now, something else that I wanted to go about. What about cameras in 2010? You can't tell me that some camera or something of the school parking lot where the buses are, behind the school where the field, there's cameras. Why don't we have any camera footage? It doesn't show anything. Lots of schools had cameras in 2010. Ours did, and they were good cameras back then. 15 years ago, camera technology was just about as good as it is now, as far as closed-circuit TV cameras. So that was always suspicious to me. I don't understand, for the life of me, how they gravitated the public's interest in this and how it became such a big thing, like wildfire. I mean, it just spread. In that time, we were looking for Osama bin Laden and we were looking for Kyron Horman in the United States. We found Osama. You know what happened to him. Well, nothing on Kyron Horman. We can't get any information on Kyron Horman. Nobody saw him, mysteriously. The administration of the school didn't see anything. Teachers out in the parking lot didn't see anything. None of his classmates. None of his family. Nobody knows nothing. Imagine that. How is that even possible? Okay. More interesting facts for you. If you go into any store, let's say up north, down south, any major box store, Walmart, Safeway, Target, up front, usually near the water fountains of the bathroom, the entrance or the exit, you will see a whiteboard, folks. And this whiteboard is usually the size of a regular sedan. I mean, it's big. You can see it from a mile off. You can't miss it. And you know what's on that whiteboard? There's about 100 pictures of kids that have gone missing. And when I say missing, I don't mean 15 or 20 years ago. I mean within 6 months and 3 years back. This isn't old news. These kids have just went missing. And this is what bothers me, and this is why I did part of this video in the first place. You walk into these stores, these missing posters come and go, like people changing dirty socks. Where do these kids go? How are they found? Nobody knows nothing. Why aren't these kids put on Facebook? Why aren't they blasted all over social media and other platforms? Why aren't they being run by the news companies? There's nothing. You can type them in on Google and find them, but if you don't know the name or know they're missing in the first place, how would you ever know to type them in? So here's my ramble. Why, over the top of all these kids, is Kyron Horman way up here? Let me show you something. Here's a prime example. And I just got this off Google. Didn't have to do anything special. Didn't have to look for 30 minutes. See all these kids? Look at every one of them. Kids, toddlers, so on and so forth. Let me scroll and zoom up here. Look exactly who's directly in the middle of that picture. Who's in the middle of that? Imagine that. Now, a few years ago, we'd walk into these stores, and I always made a point to look. At the top of the whiteboard, guess who would be at the top of the whiteboard? Like a pyramid. What gives them the right to put him at the top? Everybody and their brother knows that he's been missing for the last decade and a half. Is he royalty? Is the last name Kyron Horman? Am I missing something? Is it some kind of chic? I mean, why is this kid it surpasses everything. Think about all the other people. Here's something to think about. The parents to all these kids, folks, every one of them. Imagine what they think when Kyron Horman comes on TV and their child's been missing for 6 months, maybe a couple of years, and they've heard nothing. Now, whether their kids were abducted, they walked off, or nobody knows nothing, like Kyron Horman, how do you think they feel when they watch the 9 o'clock news and see Kyron Horman's face on there? Just think about that. Imagine that. Their kid's missing. It's not on the news. It's not blasted all over social media. But there's Kyron Horman, just like clockwork. How does that make them feel? I'd be madder than a hornet. That would just infuriate me. I didn't make this video to throw anybody under the bus or cause any problems. But a lot of your people here in Oregon, they know what time it is, and they feel the same way. Why somebody hasn't made a video like this is, can't believe it. Nobody wants to speak up, I guess. So, will we ever find Kyron Horman? Will anybody ever say anything? Or will we just keep going for another 5, maybe 10 years? Maybe until everybody in the producing agency gets old, retires, then it's on to something new. But I think this has gone too far. So my question to you is, how is this kid so popular in the state of Oregon that surpasses all the rest of our missing kids? Have an answer for that? I sure as hell don't. I think it's something that somebody should look into. I'm not big on conspiracies, guys, but this is true, and I believe it's almost a conspiracy. Why have news channels gravitated towards this story so much in the last 10 years? I mean, are they hurting for a story that bad? Like I said, when people see Kyron Horman on TV, they go, oh, geez, switch the channel, change it. We already know. I can't imagine, like I said before, I can't imagine the funding and the serious taxpayer dollar that has went into this over the last 15 years. I can't even imagine. I'm sure nobody's keeping track of that on purpose. But why? What is the reason? Maybe we'll never know. But until then, we'll talk to you later.